That's correct.
Okay, and then in that case, how did you decide on, explain why doing that? Why just restaurants and why not potentially other businesses that can start reopening this phase one?
Well, the phase one for these other establishments, particularly barbershops and salons, will be by appointment. So you'll have some contact information there. For restaurants, some will be taking reservations. I've heard that from a number of restaurateurs. And as I stated earlier, Cam, that this is a volunteer thing. There are going to be some people who say, I'm not getting you anything, right? And there are going to be some restaurants who say, I don't want to take your information at all. And that is just fine. However, as I stated at the end of my remarks, that we are in this together. And that means I would like to have the ability to see whether or not if someone were to be contract COVID-19, that I think it's good for the public to know, the people who may have entered those establishments. And so it's going to take a commitment from both the patron and also from the restaurant, but it's all voluntary. Go ahead.
One other thing I would add to that, Cam, is that the way that this disease is transmitted is a function of exposure, which is accentuated by proximity, and time. And in a restaurant setting, you've got a group that comes together, they're sitting at a table potentially for an hour or more, and so that exposure and time factor really increases the chance of exposure. Whereas in another type of retail business, typically you're meandering throughout and then in and out in a much shorter period of time. So, none of these systems will be perfect, but I do think that restaurants do pose an additional risk that we want to be as careful as possible and have as much information as possible. If we do trace a case back, then that will make that contact investigation much easier.